Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and in this video, I'll be profiling a little bit of this video from Danny Haifong's YouTube channel titled George Galloway, Israel Has Destroyed Itself as Yemen, Iran, Lebanon prepare for war. And this is just another video dealing with biblical prophecy, specifically the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon, the main part, the final part of World War III in Joel chapter 3. And as we've been seeing since really, especially since October with that whole situation between Hamas and the state of Israel, all these major players are further getting moved into that Middle Eastern region, which is really, Western Asia, as the elder Malcolm of the Chicago camp always goes into. And hey, this video I'm using in this lesson was a video that Elder Malcolm used in one of his lessons. And as the title of that lesson was, The Least of the Flock Shall Draw Them Out, that's going to be along the same lines that this lesson's going into, the least of the flock being the state of Israel, drawing out these major nations into conflict with each other, which is going to play into the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. But this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And I'm going to start the video at the 3-minute and 56-second mark and play about, 3 or 4 minutes of it.
Yes. And we can zoom in on the United States a bit now that you bring up the regional consequences. Antony Blinken was traveling or traversing the Middle East once again for what seems like the half dozenth of times, traveling to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, everywhere he can go, talking to the Palestinian Authority. The idea of this has been, and this is what the Biden administration has said, is to prevent a regional war, to de-escalate the situation. That has been the framing. But one of the things that's been quite clear is that while the United States has, from the very beginning, inflamed regional tensions since Israel has gone on its onslaught, it has also expressed, maybe it's disingenuous, but in my estimation, it is a genuine fear that the United States will get pulled in to a conflict that Israel cannot win regionally. It cannot, as you said, if the U.S. can't defeat Iran, if the U.S. cannot take on Hezbollah, what makes us think that Israel can? So with that,
And that's exactly what's going to happen. The U.S. is going to get dragged into a regional conflict because the state of Israel is going to do something to, foment a response from Iran, which, is going to trigger a wider war. This is Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he had taken against Edom. And the biblical Edomites are, these so-called white people, these Americans, Europeans, the British, the Russians, as well as those people over in the Holy Land right now, calling themselves, the children of the Most High. They are actually, they're Edomites, specifically of the tribe of Amalek. The true children of Israel are known today as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he had taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And that least of the flock is those Amalekite Edomites, who are again going to do something to trigger a war with Iran that's going to draw these nations down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat on the side of the state of Israel, the United States of America. This is Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the Northern Army, the North American Army, the United States military, all branches, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, you name it, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, that desert land, that Middle Eastern region, with his face toward the East Sea. And when we go to a map of the Middle East, which I like this map because what does it say above the Middle East? Asia, because that region is Western Asia. You see Saudi Arabia right here, which the U.S. has a heavy military presence in. And a lot of those past conflicts in Western Asia, such as the first Iraq War, the second Iraq War, the U.S. has used Saudi Arabia as a staging ground for its conflict, and it's going to be the same this time. But you've got Saudi Arabia right here with its face toward the East Sea. You've got the Persian Gulf, and what's above the Persian Gulf? Iran. And to the northeast, you have the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, as well as Iraq, and Syria, which the U.S. also has a military presence there. And his hinder part toward the utmost sea, behind him being the Red Sea. And what have you been having taken place there over the last couple of months? That whole situation with the Houthis in Yemen, which, they've been harassing U.S. naval vessels in the Red Sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he had done great things. There's going to be a great slaughter of U.S. military personnel in that Middle Eastern region. What did Danny Haifong just say? If the U.S. can't defeat Iran, hey, what chance does Israel have? The only thing that's going to happen is a great slaughter of Israeli and U.S. troops in that region, as well as all those other heathens as militaries that are going to be dragged down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat to fight this war. Because not only is the U.S. and NATO going to be pulled in on the side of the state of Israel, on the side of Iran is going to be Russia, China, and her other allies.
I wanted to just pull up a graphic because you mentioned Yemen, the Red Sea situation. Constantly, the United States has been saying over the last several days that there is no damage being done, that Yemen is not doing any damage.
And look at that map right there. The U.S. footprint in Western Asia right now is remarkable, and it's showing, all the Northern Army's forces that they have in that region.
The Houthis aren't doing any damage. But the Financial Times just wrote an article about this situation, and you mentioned Paper Tiger. Here are all of the U.S. forces scattered about West Asia and, of course, Northern Africa. And we're talking about 57,000 personnel, dozens of military installations, and just untold numbers of weapons. What's going on here? Why hasn't the United States been able to stabilize the situation? Why is it that so many people view Israel as being the one in the driver's seat, even though both you and I know that the United States has a lot of leverage when it comes to its relationship with Israel?
Hey, we can stop it right there. Israel is in the driver's seat of biblical prophecy. Again, the least of the flock shall draw them out. The state of Israel is going to do something to trigger, a conflict against Iran, which is going to play into the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Close it out in Joel chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathen Gentiles. Prepare war with Iran, World War III, the War of Armageddon, the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Which we can see, these different militaries are moving more and more forces down into Western Asia. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. You've got Iran throwing shots at the state of Israel and the U.S., and you've got those Houthis in Yemen, and a growing number of people in Yemen saying we are ready to fight to the death against the U.S. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, the United States of America, State of Israel, Iran, Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, these different NATO nations, Turkey, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, and those mighty ones are the death angels of the Most High, holding back this great destruction, waiting to get the go-ahead to release it, which is mainly going to happen after the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18, which is the RFID/NFC C-hip implant is mandatorily implemented. And we see that that's right around the corner as well, with all this talk of CBDCs, a digital cashless society, a universal basic income, Elon Musk's Neuralink, etc., etc. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And the ultimate reason, which you can read about in the first couple of verses of this chapter, that the Most High is gathering these heathens down into that region to judge them, is for afflicting the children of Israel. And at the top of that list, as pursuant to Psalms chapter 83, are you Edomites. And it also mentions Esau 2 times. It mentions you Amalekites as well, who had a big hand in funding, the transatlantic slave trade. Who do you think owned the majority of those ships? Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. And with all these biblical prophecies taking place as we speak, and Apostle Tahar deeming 2024 to be the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble, we can see that the day of Yahweh is very near in the valley of decision. So that's it with this lesson. With this lesson, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.